apparently Donald Trump caught wind that this bill was about to go through, and he influenced his people, his folks who were in Congress, to not vote for this bill because he felt it would affect him politically. So he is the reason that bill did not go through. So Kamala Harris finally sat down and spoke with a mainstream media outlet. She spoke with CNN. She spoke with CNN along with her running mate, Tim Walz. First of all, that is the norm. Many Democratic nominees, as well as Republican nominees, after their conventions, they sit with their running mates and they talk with the media. So what she did was not out of the norm. Let's make that clear. Now, the main points of her interview that I want to talk about was, I love how she answered the question on how Trump likes to question her race, which is just ludicrous because Kamala has always been very open about who she is and how she grew up. I mean, she's a part of the early parts of Generation X, and that generation, the way race was looked at was pretty much how race is looked at traditionally in America, pretty much the one drop rule. And her mother taught her that. So she grew up as a Black woman because she is a Black woman. Her father is Black. But I'm sure as society has evolved when it comes to looking at race, many people who are biracial are starting to speak of themselves in terms of, yes, I'm Black, but I'm also XYZ. And for Kamala, that would be Indian. So she's Black and Indian. That's who she is. But I love how she answered the question when asked by Dana Bash just about, pretty much the disrespectful things that Donald Trump says about her race. And she pretty much just said, look, next question. It just doesn't deserve an answer. It's ludicrous. And it's smart that she answered it that way for the most part, because if she answered it fully, that would be the headline after this interview, that every media outlet would just talk about her race when she really wants you to focus on her answers when it comes to her policies, like fracking, how she supports that now. I mean, that's very important for particular states, I believe, particularly Pennsylvania. So that needed to be made clear. And another thing that really, really, really needed to be made clear is her position on the border crisis. A lot of people talk about that border. Trump is always out here trying to blame the Biden administration for the border crisis. And he particularly tries to blame Kamala for the border crisis, when the truth is that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden both supported a bipartisan bill that would have solved the border crisis. It was a bill that was actually written by a Republican. And apparently Donald Trump caught wind that this bill was about to go through, and he influenced his people, his folks who were in Congress, to not vote for this bill because he felt it would affect him politically. So he is the reason that bill did not go through. So with that, he's the reason you still may have some fentanyl crisis going on in certain areas. He is the reason why you don't have enough agents at the border. So when you speak about the border crisis, make sure you have Donald Trump at the top of that list as the reason why that border issue has not fully been resolved. But even with that, Kamala made it a point to say, even with the crisis, what she's been able to accomplish, the number of immigrants coming from that region has actually been reduced. That's one thing she has been able to accomplish. And she has also been able to add other benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region where there's a border crisis. So there's not all bad, and Kamala and Joe Biden are actually trying to do a lot of good. And she made it very clear that when she becomes president, if that bipartisan bill returns to her desk to sign, she will in fact do that, and the border crisis will hopefully be resolved. And by that time, especially if Donald Trump loses, he won't likely have any more political influence to prevent the bill from going through. But overall, I felt that her interview was awesome. She did what she had to do. She showed strength. She showed leadership. She showed professionalism, which we often don't see on the other side. Of course, they still have their jabs towards her. And of course, it's all still immature. But she is keeping it professional. And I look forward to seeing her debate with Donald Trump this coming September 10th. It should be a good one. But that's my show for today. I'm Stacey Brewer, and this is H Blues Word. Peace.
It's H Blues Word.